Hi everyone, this is Gail, and I'm finally back trying to do another tutorial. I'm sorry I've been gone, or not gone, but at least I haven't been doing tutorials lately because I have been so busy with other things, and I just feel like I need to get a polymer clay tutorial out here. I do have some update information on the 2000 sub giveaway. And I think I'll do that in a separate video rather than take away from this. But I just wanted to show you one thing, tell you one thing, is that it's really getting overwhelming. It also kind of, I'm getting some negative feedback on some things too, and that always bothers me, even though I know it's not me. That's one problem in any kind of business. Even though this isn't a business, they keep telling you, don't take it personally. But I feel like this is my art, and I do take it personally. So I just have some things I want to update you on and explain. But like I said, I'll do that in a different video. Today we're going to work with Mica Shift. And I don't know if many of you have ever used Mica Shift before. There's so many different ways to do it, and I'm going to show you one way today. The way I like to do, well, it depends on what I'm making as to whether this is the way I do it, but I'm going to make a Mica Shift that could maybe be used in a pendant. So let me show you what we're doing. This is the Sculpey Primo 18 karat gold, and I've rolled that out on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. And then you need a deeply etched stamp of some kind. Now this is my problem, is picking the stamp. This is a Sculpey stamp, and it's real deeply etched, and it's got some swirls and leaves, and I'm kind of an organic kind of person, so I'm really liking that. But then this is a Lisa Pavelka stamp called Cloodle, which is like doodles, and I really like that too, but I think it's probably too busy for what I want to do. So even though I love the stamp, I think I'm going to eliminate that one. This is another stamp, and I think this is an Amico stamp. It's not marked anywhere, but it seems to me that at one point in time I was getting these red rubber unmounted stamps, and I believe it was from Amico, but I'm not sure. It might also be Sculpey. I don't remember. I've had this for years. And this has kind of got a neat pattern to it. I like the swirls, so I might do that one. This one is, again, it's a Sculpey stamp. It is very organic, and it's a nice deeply etched stamp. But I don't know if, although for fall, leaves might be the way to go. And this is also a Sculpey stamp, I believe. And this is roses and swirls. And I do like this one, but not as much as these, I think. Okay, so I'm back to these. I think I'm going to eliminate this one well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with the leaves, and just because I've never used that in a Mica Shift, and it's like little leaves and vines, and I'm going to try it. So if it doesn't turn out, I apologize. Like I said, I've never tried that on a Mica Shift, but let's give it a shot. So what I'm going to do, I've got, like I said, you condition your clay, and when you condition a mica clay, which all of your metallics and your pearls have mica in them, and that is what makes the shininess. Now if I can, let me get me maybe some index cards to help explain what's going on. Let me just rip these in half. Okay, so say these are, mica is in the form of a flake. I don't know if you've ever seen natural mica. But they don't always lay flat. They're going to be up like this, and they're going to be twisted and turned. So this is the way they are in your clay before you condition it. After you've rolled a metallic clay through the pasta machine, all of these mica particles are going to be laying flat. And you can tell by the shininess. With the metallic clay, when you're running it through the pasta machine, you'll see swirls and things, and that just means those are these particles that are not flat yet, because the sides of these particles are dull. It's only the surface that's flat. So hopefully that makes sense to you in explaining what mica is and why it's so important to get your metallic or pearl clay smooth to where you see no swirls and no color discoloration. But let me just show you. Let me just cut this edge off. As shiny as this side is, can you see the difference in the side view? Look how dark that is. That's the side view of the mica, and then there's the top view. So you can see, let me zoom in a little bit just so you can see that better. Let me move this over if I can. Oops, excuse that noise. But again, there's the side. And this is what gives you your colors, because, I mean, your different effects in your clay. As you push this into your clay, you're going to be disturbing those mica particles. And it's going to be putting it, it's going to be moving them so that some of the sides are back up again and they're not going to be all flat. And that's what creates your design. So let's see what we can do here. But first I'm going to stack a couple of layers. I'm going to just cut a couple of layers. Maybe that, I don't know how thick that is, but why don't I put this on top so I'll know how much to do of it. At this point you don't have to have them even, but I wanted to make sure they're at least this wide. And I'm just going to do 2 layers right now. And let me just roll that a little bit to make sure that it's... Now, rolling flat across the top, you're not going to disturb your mica, so don't worry. I'm not messing things up. Now, you can use different things for a release, and I've used different things before. I've used cornstarch with you. I think I've shown you that. I've shown you that I've used water. But today, I think what I'm going to use is some Armor All spray. And most of you have this around the house if you have a car or if you have a husband. They seem to love Armor All. But Armor All also is a great release agent to use on polymer clay. And you can just wipe it off. So let me just spritz. I couldn't get that word out. And that looks a little thick. And plus it got on my table. So I'm going to wipe it off the table first. And I'm just going to take my finger and spread it out. You don't want it too thick, but thick enough to act as a release. Now I'm going to place this on here. And I'm going to just put it where I want it. And then I'm just going to press. And I'm going to press with my fingers, because that way I know I can press all along this stamp and get these impressions down into your clay. And the deeper you can get them into your clay, the better results you're going to get with your Mica Shift. Otherwise, you're just shifting the ones at the very top. But you want to go all the way down as far as you can. You could use a roller. The only problem with a roller is sometimes you'll get a ghost image if you roll over it more than once. And I may do that after I do this. But I prefer to use my fingers. And let me just roll over it one good time with a roller just to make sure it's in there. Alright, now I believe I've pushed it all in. There we go. And you can just take a paper towel and wipe off your texture plate and wipe off your clay. There's a little bit of armor all down in there. We just want it will dry eventually, but I'm going to just try to, actually what I ought to do is pick it up. And it's going to be stuck on your work surface, which really I should have left it there, but I didn't want. And let me clean the armor all off and wipe the edges of my clay. There, I think we're in good shape now. Now what you're going to want to do, let me move this camera in just a little bit, is you need a sharp blade, and one that, maybe this isn't a flexible blade, but it is flexible, but it's not what they call the flex blades. This one is a little stiffer, but it does bend a little bit, so that's all you need. But what you're going to do now is to shave off all of this raised portion. And you just do it in small little thin sheets. And you don't want to cut down into the clay underneath. You just want to shave off. Well, that would be pretty to put on another piece of clay, wouldn't it? That's pretty. But see, as you slice off the raised portions, you're leaving the design in the clay. It's very easy to go too deep. Trust me, I've done it many times and ended up having to just squeeze it all up and starting all over. But just shave across the top and try to get only the raised portions. I wish I'd put out some black clay or something to lay these on, because these are beautiful. To see how you've got the design in the clay, but this, at least here in the center, pretty much, you can run your finger over it and tell where you still need to slice. There's some area right in here that I need to get off. And over here. Like I say, just keep running your fingers over it. And when it's smooth, you've done enough. And because I had this blade bent a little bit, my edges didn't get shaved. So let me just make sure I'm shaving my edges. This down here at the end isn't shaved very well, but I'm not going to use that at the end anyway. Now I need to get this other side, and I will bend my blade a little bit just to get, whoops, don't go too deep, Gail. Just to get this edge. I want to make sure it's going to be wide enough for my cutter when I go to use it. And this takes practice. Don't expect to get this right the very first time. It takes a little while, takes a little practice. And just imagine, as long as you have something deeply etched. Now you don't have to use a stamp. You could, remember the other day when we were doing the Mokume Gane, and we used cutters and knives and things, you can do that too and just shave off the top and you'll have a nice design. But look at this. This is just as smooth as it can be, and yet it looks like, look at that, it looks like it's still got the pattern, but it's smooth. And this is what's called the Mica Shift. All of these little places along here where you see the design of the leaf and the vine, that's where the mica particles have shifted and they're not flat anymore. So that's your basic mica shift. Then you can take a cutter, and I've got several different cutters here. This is kind of a, this is one of my favorite cutters. I got this from Donna Cato. But I think I'm going to go with maybe something different. Maybe this. This is a Sculpey cutter. And you can just place it where you want it. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can also cut earrings to match. If you get this is a Sculpey, the graduated set. This is the teardrop. And this is the one I've got here. Sorry. The one I've got here is the largest one, which will make a nice pendant, and yet I can use a smaller one to make earrings. So there's my cut for my pendant. And I'll do 2 little cuts. Be easier if I take them all out. I kept these little plastic containers that they came in because they're really good to keep them organized in your drawer. So there's a pendant, and I'm going to cut 2 little ones to make earrings. And excuse my hair if it's in this shot. I just need to see what I'm doing here. There's one. And I think that will be, whoops, that will be my other. So I'm just going to cut this off and pull this up. And I got a little bit of something, must have been on my cutter from the last time I used it. Looks like a little piece of black clay. But there you go. There's a piece to bake to make a pendant and the 2 little earrings. Now all you need to do, if you want to leave them like this, the backs are going to be shiny and smooth. You see the backs are still shiny and smooth because you didn't disturb the back. And you can put a little hole in the top of each teardrop. And I'm going to make it a little big because I don't know what size jump ring I'll put in there. And I'll make a hole in the second one. Do the same thing. Now you could do this with just 1 layer. This was 2 layers of clay. You could do this with 1 layer, but I don't think you would get as pretty or as deep an impression because you'll have less room for the for your texture sheet to press down into the clay. That's why I like 2 layers. And after pressing it down and shaving it, it's really not that thick anyway. See, it's not real thick, even though it's 2 layers, because it's been shaved, it's been pressed down. But I think I'm going to just leave this the way. Let me do my hole in here. like to go from both sides. I think I'm going to stamp I made a little stamp, I think I've shown you before, that says GT16. I'll have to make another one pretty soon for GT17, won't I? But there's my pendant and my earrings all ready to go into the oven. So I can put those on a tile. I'm going to put them on a tile, but I'm also going to put them on a card. Where are my little cards that I ripped in half? There's no sense in wasting those, because I don't want the shine from my tile showing up on my jewelry pieces. So there, I put things on a cardstock first, so it'll still not get the shiny from the tile. So that's my way of doing Mica Shift. There are so many things you can do. You can take, let me just cut, I'm going to play for a minute since I've got this nice piece here. You can always, is this flexible? Yeah, this is a flexible blade. Although it's not, I don't want it to be that way. Let me get my knife. If I haven't taken it over, no, it's right here. Here's one of them. And I'm thinking what I'd like to have is maybe I ought to draw it out first. I'd like to have, I've moved things around and I can't find anything. If I cut a curve like this, and then cut, maybe let it come up, then cut another curve in top of it, and then that's kind of what I'm thinking. You see if that'll fit. It will. Let me see if I can do it with my blade. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on top and make sure that it's all on my clay. And I'm going to take a ball tool and just trace over the line. Hope you don't mind watching me play. This is the kind of thing I do when I'm here by myself. Whoops, I didn't want to come down there. It's just play a little bit and see what I get. Now I can see that. I know you can't because it's hard for me to see. But I think I can see it enough to cut with my knife. I'm going to start at the bottom. And it doesn't have to be exact. I just wanted to get a basic shape and wanted it to be the same on both sides. I hope I'm in the frame. I can't look up while I'm cutting. I'm slightly, aren't I? But forgive me while I stay out of frame for a minute while I finish this cut, and then I'll move it to where you can see it better. Alright, so let's see what I can do with this. What I want to do I think the first thing I'd like to do is to round these edges a little bit. So I'll put a piece of my plastic wrap on here. These are plastic deli sheets, and I've links in other videos that tell you where you can, in the comment section, if you look at the comment section, where I found these. But I'm going to round this edge a little bit. And I'm going to turn it around. I must have cut that in where I didn't want to. There, it's okay. And I'm doing this away from me because it's easier for me to press this way than to push that way. But I'm going to round this edge. Just push down on the edges. And see how easily your finger slides on this plastic? It doesn't smear the clay. And I don't know if that's rounded enough. This got a little twisted. I don't know, can you see this? Where this side got a little twisted, so it's dark right here. I'm just going to cut that off. Because I needed to reshape that curve anyway. Now I'll push down again. Just a little bit. Now what I want to do, and hopefully it will work, I want to coax these edges into a curve. You do it slowly. If your clay is conditioned, you can do it, but don't do it too quickly or it'll just crack. But just slowly bend this. And maybe have them meet in the middle. That looks interesting. What do you think of that? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to bake it. Well, actually, I'm going to poke holes. Let me poke a hole over here. And a hole over here, trying to keep them as symmetrical as you can. And then pull it up and get it from the other side. And there's another little pendant that's in a different shape. I may have to tweak this a little bit, but it doesn't look too bad like that. So I'm going to put that on a piece of cardstock and put that on my tile. So there you go. That is my way, one way. I do it several ways, but this is a good way to do Mica Shift. I think maybe if you're willing to wait, I'll come back in a few minutes. I'm going to recondition this clay and we'll try a different method. Okay, I'm back. What I did is just balled up. Actually, I didn't even use all the scraps. Here's a few more. I probably could have used them. I balled up all the scraps and ran them back through my pasta machine again, and you can see I've gotten another smooth, shiny sheet on both sides. So that means that the mica has all been lined up. Now I'm going to cut maybe a third of this off. I want to leave a sheet and I'll move that to the side, and on this one I'm going to roll this one up into a log. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter and squattier because it'll make it easier for me to cut. Because what I'm going to do is sit this up on its end, and I'm going to cut off each side, each of the 4 sides. So basically what I'm doing is making a square. So I cut off that corner. And this clay is really soft now since I just conditioned it. So it's not perfectly round, but that's okay. I'm just going to cut off these 4 sides. Now what I've done, if you can see this, I've cut across the direction of the mica powders, mica flakes, so they're kind of mixed up through here. So what I'm going to do now is roll this back into a cylinder, and I hope this is going to be big enough. Roll it back into a cylinder. And as you're rolling it, start to make it longer. And when you start getting to where it's, you know, 3-4 inches long, you can start making a twist. And you do a twist by holding this side still or rolling in the opposite direction, and then rolling just with one hand on one side, and it will twist your clay. And twist it all the way up. I didn't mean to press that down. Until you have something that looks like this. See the lines in that? That's from the mica shifting in the clay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll up because I made it skinny on one end. I'm going to roll this into a snail. So see, we have this snail, and it have a nice, and this is nice just the way it is. But the cool part about it, let me just move this back. So I remember in the other video where I said I wish I had a piece of black clay to put this on? Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to get this stuck to my work surface. I'm going to make slices off of this, but I'm going to lay it on the same color. And it's going to give you a real nice effect. So just make sure, first of all, that your blade is clean. There's no clay residue on it. You don't want it to drag. I believe this is Donna Cato's blade, now that I think about it, with the little yellow tips on it. I think is what she calls the Cato new blade. Anyway, so then you just slice across. And of course, your first slice, you're just taking off texture, but it's still going to leave you a interesting design. And I like to flip it over on the clay. And can you see that? So you just keep slicing thin slices and hope that this stays stuck. Maybe I ought to clean my blade again because it's dragging. Of course, the clay is very warm too. When she did this, we used Cato clay. And this is Primo, which is much softer. But you just overlap your little snails, and it makes a really nice pattern on this clay. Maybe I ought to try this again using the Cato because it would be easier to slice. Let's see. I think I'll put that curve to that curve. And put this one down in there. And you just kind of place it where you want it. Now since I did this crooked, I'm going to get the other half. And hope I don't cut my finger. Wouldn't be the first time. But this is a technique that Donna taught us a long time ago. It may even be in one of her books. I should have looked. Might help me a little bit. But this, whoops. Even when the pieces come off, you can still make an interesting design with it. But making thin slices has never been my strong point. You see, we're getting past, we're in the center of this now. In the center, you're not going to have as much of a design shift because the design shift is on the outside. But the more you slice, let me start here, the more you slice, the closer you're going to get to the design on the other side. Now this one looks more like a donut. I couldn't even get this through. This probably would work a lot better if you use the Kato clay because it is firmer. But see, we're getting back to where we can see the swirl better. This clay is just so soft, it's moving with the blade. But you're getting the idea. But that's another way to use Mica Shift. And I'm just going to lay this on there. So I'm going to move this. And then what I think I'll do is run this through the largest setting on my pasta machine. Let me cut this extra off and just see what happens. Okay, it's smoothed out some, but there you go. And you can use this, you could make some really nice patterns. I really prefer the ones from the close to the edge because they have more of the stripes in them. But you can roll this out smooth. It's not quite smooth because some of these were very thin slices. See how soft this clay is? It's even sticking to itself into my roller. It's not, shouldn't ever do that. But anyway, that's my Mica Shift. This is the second. And since this is Donna's cutter, I will cut a slice out of this to use for something. Now that ended up pretty. Can you see that? That ended up pretty. I'll put that on here to bake. And let me see where else I could cut something. I think I could cut right in the middle of this and get the swirl. That's really nice. I like that. So you can do all kinds of things with the Mica Shift. You might come up with ideas that even I haven't thought of or Donna hasn't thought of. There's so many ways. Another person you might want to watch, and I don't know if she has any YouTube videos or not. I know she has paid videos on Craft Art EDU, and that's Carol Blackburn. She's from the UK, and she's the sweetest thing. I've met her several times, and she does a lot of work with Mica Shift. So if you're interested in that, you might want to slip over to craftartedu.com and check out some of her tutorials. If you sign up for the newsletter, they will send you email coupons or discount codes. You know, sometimes you can get 40% off of a video. So if you see some that you like, put them in your wish list and on there. Go to Craft Art EDU. Go to the videos you like. you'd like to have, put them in your wish list, and sign up for their newsletter, and then when you get the email saying that there's 40% off, you can go back to your wish list and get the ones you want. I've gotten so many. And there's lots of free tutorials on there too. There may even be a free one on there on how to do Mica Shift. I didn't check before I did the video. But just have fun. That's what this is all about. Get out your clay, get out your tools, and just sit and have fun. So thanks, and I'll be back soon. Bye-bye.